Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe with episode. It's been a long time coming, man. Episode 48. This is it, man. Our ride is at an end, with the exception of maybe a wrap up. Really, it is done. 2 years, 2 seasons of Space 1999. I hope that I have done this series well in terms of whatever enthusiasm I've been able to muster over the 48 episodes, and given perhaps some of you something to think about. I don't know. We'll see. But anyhow, this is it, man. 48, the Dorcons. Quite an episode to finish off with. The only thing missing from this episode was the surety that did not exist whether this was going to see a third season or not see a third season. And as a result of that, it sort of ends. It ends like any other episode, and Space 1999 is done. Had there been some surety that it was going to end, perhaps there would have been a bit of a clinching statement to that effect, but I don't know. Who knows? I've been riding hard with John Kenneth Muir's Exploring Space 1999 is also my guide. The wonderful Shout factory release of the entire seasons and a supplemental disc that is not bad either for Space 1999. And so, there isn't a sense of a clinching ending statement, unfortunately. It just ends. Maybe that's the most appropriate thing, perhaps. This one sees Patrick Troughton, man. I think he was in The Omen, for one. Scars of Dracula. He plays our... it's hard to say exactly who your antagonist is. There's 3, really. I mean, you've got Varda, who is the main counselor to the Archon, who is, in a sense, the ruler, emperor, I guess, of this empire, and his crazy psychotic nephew who doesn't really want to see him live much longer because he wants to be Archon. There's a bit of a thing about the Dorcons that we learn, and some of it through Maya. This is really a continuation of exploring Maya's character, and also as it relates to her personally. As a species, as a psychon, of course, the Dorcons. As she tells us, the most powerful empire, controller or ruler of 1,000 worlds. They've been able to conquer just about everything but mortality. And so they have not been able to grasp a hold of immortality. But the psychon brainstem, it's kind of weird that I'm reviewing this as I just got done talking about Zombie Holocaust from 1980, that Italian zombie cannibal mashup. There was a bit of that going on as well. Compliments of Dr. Brero. But and so the psychon brainstem, if put into a Dorcan, will give him unlimited immortality. Right now, their only main problem as a species, I think, is they don't live very long lives before their brainstems give out. And so, as a result, the psychons have been sort of a go-to, in which, as far as the psychon planet blowing up, that must have been quite a death blow in terms of their psyche, knowing that there's probably just a few psychons out there wandering around in the galaxies, and they're hunting them down because they want to grasp onto eternal life. And this Archon in particular wants eternal life. His nephew does not. Malik does not. Now, this political intrigue will sort of be... So I had a phrase in my head. It's what exactly Koenig and the others need. They find themselves very quickly up against a superior force that causes Koenig to capitulate, which Koenig never does, but he's had to. in light of there's nothing he can do. So really the setup is there's this small craft of sorts that has found itself near orbit of Moonbase Alpha, and they suddenly, out of this craft comes this sort of scanning probe beam, and as it is, it causes most everyone to freeze in place but Maya, and as it hits on Maya, it ascertains the inevitable, that she is a psychon, and there begins the story. This small transport ship, whatever it is, suddenly materializes into a battle cruiser, and it's not long before they put Moonbase Alpha on alert. It's either give up Maya or be destroyed. Well, Koenig is not going to give her up, and Tony definitely is not going to give her up. No one on Moonbase Alpha. But the interesting moment is the moral choice is, though, is, and some take exception to Koenig's decision making here, and we see this often played out in geopolitics. Should we pay the price to defend someone else when it's not our problem? And we've seen this play out multiple times throughout history. You just think of the British people who might have wandered around screaming to the sky, what is Belgium worth to us? Just who cares if the Germans went through on their way to France? Ultimately, it will be of consequence, because it will drag not only Britain into a continental war, but will ultimately take on a global aspect once the United States especially gets involved. But it's this idea of, when do you choose to make the moral, draw the line in the moral sand, I guess. And there's no way Koenig, as long as he is in control, is going to let Maya go without a fight, even if it means destroying all of Moonbase Alpha, regardless of what anyone else may or may not think. But there is a moment, of course, in his defiance, Varda, who is now under pressure by the Archon and Malik, because she knows he doesn't have, he's not up to any good, and so she's put under real intense pressure to deliver over this Saigon Maya, as we know her, and so she will lead a expeditionary party of sorts, an invading party, and she will ultimately come down and grab Maya by force and leave Moonbase Alpha in a lurch. And in that closing seconds, as they disappear into the transport beam, Koenig does the thing you expect Koenig to do. He jumps into the transport beam before it can disappear, and now he has suddenly become a handful for those on the battle cruiser. But thankfully for Koenig, something else is about to play out that will be his saving grace. I think that's the phrase I was looking for earlier. And that is, of course, this political intrigue and this want and desire of Malik not to lose his desire to be the Archon. He will lose it if the Archon receives his brainstem and immortality. And so really this is political infighting, which is quite relevant for today as usual. Does play a very large part on the stage in terms of Moonbase Alpha's redemption or their salvation, if you will. And so, Malik, a young man, and it's funny, the reason why Varda doesn't want to agree to his choice in terms of let him have immortality. He's too young, too erratic. As Varda argues to him, not everyone may think the highest of the Archon, but at least he has the people's best intentions. He has them. So this creates a divide of sorts, right? And so Malik will take it upon himself to sort of intervene in a way that will not only be his own undoing, but really the representative force of the Dorcan Empire that is there represented on this battlecruiser. It will be the undoing of that entire ship. And Moonbase Alpha will escape the inescapable. And they will cling to life when it ought to be death. And they will be saved as a result of a misguided youth, and political intrigue, and assassination, and quite frankly, in an attempt by someone who hasn't really thought everything through completely. And maybe his undoing, Malik's undoing, is not knowing Koenig, and his ability to sort of weave himself through any given situation in a way that is quite remarkable. And so you got to give it over to the writing on this one, the story. I think I agree with Kenneth Muir. It is one of the, if not the best single episode of year two. I think there's just way too much in this episode to not like, or what I mean is to like. I mean, there's so much to like. And the pacing of it moves so great. The story is great. The only thing I would admit that's missing is the sort of tipping of the hat of 2 good years. It's done. But as there was still hope when this wrapped up filming, which I didn't even say, by the way, this dropped on November 12th, 77. And it would, in effect, it would be the last Space 1999 episode to drop. There would be no season 3, no year 3 for them. Although there was rumors were abounding that there might have been a 12 or 13 episode slated out for the new year. It's never to be, and therefore the Dorcons episode 48 just sort of ends. It ends a great show, a great episode, a great run to keep this thing going for a season 2, year 2. With all of its criticisms placed against year 1, it's a shame because the writing did get better, and ultimately, if the writing could have been as good as this last final episode, I agree with Kenneth Muir. If things could have been this good almost all the way through, or most all the way through, you probably would have got a season 3. But as it would have it, we wouldn't get anything. So all we get is 2 seasons, 2 years worth. But they were a good run, and I'm telling you, I had a blast, man. I had a blast with. I'm so glad I got this for Christmas that year. I think I put it to good use. I've got 48, not including the intro and my possible wrap up. I think I put this gift to good use. It was a lot of fun. Year 1 is. I love year 1. I love the intangibles of year 1. There was a lot of things to like about year 2. I loved my journey with Mert, just reading through episode to episode to episode to episode. And I'm looking forward to looking at his concluding remarks on this. There is always that podcast, of course, that he did, The Bloody Pit. I should probably drop the link to that down, just in case anyone is interested. If not, I might wrap up perhaps. So there it is, man. There it is. I'm starting to ramble, so I guess I'll just call it here. Pretty impressed with the ultimate, and I don't think I said, but Tom Clegg directed it. And again, another Johnny Byrne, great script, and well executed. Again, the miniatures, the models, the salvo that the Dorcons unleash on Moonbase Alpha is one for the memory books. It is quite impressive how it looks on screen. There's so much to like about this episode. It's too bad it's over. 48 episodes down, but here we are anyway. So Space 1999. I hope maybe some of you have picked up the Shout Factory release or another release of it, and maybe a couple of you maybe have picked up Muir's book. It's worth having on your shelf if you're a fan of this. So let's just end it there, man. Thanks for the run. I'll try to do a wrap up for this. Try to stick to the schedule, maybe a week from now, and give some final lasting remarks, including that fan-made, I think, message from Moonbase Alpha. Try to watch that too and speak to that. Anyways, to all those who have rode with me, I hope you will go with me as I transition ultimately to probably the X-Files, a deep dive, starting with season 1 pilot, and 5 years later, getting through it all, I think. So anyways, as always, win these things off with Go Bills.